Welcome back to the Universe Podcast. I'm your host, Teagan Elliott, and this is actually the last time I will be doing this regular intro because I'm about to play our new theme song that will begin every episode. So, here it is. Shout out to my friend Andrew for that awesome theme song he got going for us. Andrew is my friend from Seattle, and he attends the University of Oxford. So he's even in my time zone and everything. So that was perfect. Thank you so much, Andrew. And yeah, let's kick off this episode with our fun theme song. And now I'm going to get into today's topic. As you can already tell by the title, I'm going to be giving my advice on traveling solo. So, I, by no means, am an expert in this field. I've done it once. However, the only reason I feel like I can say anything is because I have, in fact, done it once. So, for someone that went to a place where they did not speak the language and just did it for funsies and, well, not for funsies, but you get what I mean. Went for the food, the culture, the personal growth, the whole shebang. I highly recommend it. Cannot recommend it enough. If you know me, you know I've probably talked about it once or twice. Because I honestly think everyone should travel solo at least once in their lives. Just because the independence you gain and the confidence you have when you're done with that trip, like knowing you did that puts into perspective other stressors in your life, and it's just also so fun, the actual trip. I mean, before I really get into all my deep advice and, all of my really deep thoughts on the matter, I'm just going to say what trip I went on, and let me just lay some groundwork pieces here. So I went to Italy back in the spring by myself. I went to Pisa, and so I flew in from Manchester Airport, which the flight was a very early morning flight, and there were no trains leaving from York to Manchester Airport that would get me there early enough. So I got there on the last train from York to Manchester Airport, spent the night sitting in the airport by myself. Not fun. Manchester Airport is also not the bougiest of airports, we'll just put it that way. So yeah, I was just trying not to fall asleep because I had all my stuff with me and I was alone. So that part, not so fun. However, saved me money because I didn't have to get a hotel or anything. And yeah, so I got on the plane and I went to Pisa from Manchester Airport, and Pisa is a very small, cute airport. I love a good small airport. Honestly, just as for small airports, everyone always complains, I feel like, when an airport doesn't have enough snack bars and lounges and stuff. I'd rather me be able, so let me rephrase that. I would rather be able to get from point A to point B, from security to my plane, in a matter of 20 minutes or less. That would be beautiful. But when you have to go to the big airport like Heathrow, it's you need to get there an hour and a half early minimum. And when I'm saying minimum, I'm saying they're emailing you to get there 2 hours early. I get there 3 hours early because you don't know how bad security is going to be. And if you don't have clear, or if you don't have TSA pre-check, again, I don't know if they have those here. They probably have a different name for it. But point is, if you don't have those special things, I think airports should be small and cute, just like Pisa. And again, I know not all places can afford to have that luxury, but I loved Pisa Airport, and you get through so fast. It's so easy. Love Pisa. That being said, Pisa Airport. So again, I just got a taxi then when I got to Pisa, to my hotel, and then I stayed there for 4 nights. But then, because in terms of affordability, Pisa is cheaper than going to a lot of the other big bougie places. If you stay in Florence, again, depending on where you stay, it's gonna be more or less expensive. I wanted to say, not in a super big city by myself. And also I know staying in hostels obviously would be cheaper, but I, as a woman by myself, just didn't feel safe staying in a hostel alone, especially for my first time. I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna stay in a hotel. So I stayed in a hotel by myself, in Pisa. It wasn't like a super bougie place or anything. And from there, I would wake up in the morning, walk over to the train station, and then I'd get the train to different places each morning. Now, getting the train in Europe, like for all my Americans, like it's so easy. Especially if you've ever taken like the New York subway. If you could take the New York subway in the US, like you are golden. Like this is gonna be easy money. I speak zero Italian for reference. And I will say having like the train line app that they use here in England for their trains, it worked in Italy too. Such a breeze. Cannot recommend it enough. It listed all the times that the trains were coming, and then I was able to see like what platform they'd be at and everything. It was all in English. It was great. And then from there, you were just able to like get on your train and go to where you wanted to go. So let me just then get into before I decided to go. I was just doing research, and I recommend anyone that wants to solo travel do your research on where you want to go beforehand. So I knew when I was going to Pisa, I had a list of things I wanted to see. I knew museums I wanted to go to. I knew, historic monuments, aka the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I knew I wanted to go see that. And I knew that there were museums around there that I wanted to go see in the square, and churches and cathedrals, all of the above. And then from there, Pisa is pretty small in terms of touristy centers. There's like you could see it all in one day. You don't need to spend more than one day in Pisa, in my opinion, if you're just being a tourist. Now, after I saw Pisa for that day, I had always wanted to go to Cinque Terre, just from my upbringing, seeing pictures of it and putting it like everyone has a bucket list place. This was one of my bucket list places. Boom. I don't have to explain myself. I wanted to go to Cinque Terre. So I looked up how far the train was to Cinque Terre, and I think it was about a 2-hour train ride from Pisa. Super easy. I would just hop on the train, direct train, to a certain point, to La Spezia, I believe it was called. And then you would get on the train there to Cinque Terre, and there were 5 different stops for the 5 different like lands, the different islands essentially. Not islands, but they're these towns like in the mountain right by the coast, and you can only get there in special ways. Like there was one town I hiked from Cornelia to Vernazza, and there's like a hike you can do. But you cannot get to that town unless you go up this like big hill, or if you drive, like you have to walk. And it's just, I could do a whole other episode on just the ins and outs of the journey in Italy. I want to focus on the solo travel aspect and my tips on that. So let me stick to my course here. So like I said, do your research and plan where you want to go ahead of time. I also knew I wanted to go to Florence and go check it out. It's a big city. Very different. All these places I went to were very different niche places. I definitely recommend when you do a trip, if you do want to hit more than one city, try and pick something different, like very different from the other. Italy is like a box of gems. Every city is going to be really different from the other. But like if you picked Milan and Florence as like the 2 places you wanted to go, they're both very big cities. I'd recommend throwing in either a third place that's like different, maybe like more coastal or something, like more vineyard based in Tuscany. Like see if there's something else you can throw in there that's different than just big city. Just as an example, I'd say like explore and like see if there's something else that sparks your interest. I'd say that's something really cool about solo travel is, for me, it really sparked a lot of creativity. I think just being on my own, making my own decisions is so freeing. I think when you travel with other people, for me, I've only just grown up traveling with my family, and I have been so blessed to do that, and I really am lucky to have traveled places with my family. But I will say, if you can travel alone, I highly recommend it. You get to pick all the restaurants you want to go to. You never have to stop for a bathroom break for anyone else but yourself. Think about how much time that saves you. You don't have to go see any monuments you don't want to go see. When you're done in a museum, if you want to leave, you just leave. Like I went to the Uffizi, I think that's how you pronounce it, the Uffizi Museum in Florence, study museum. But after about 2.5 hours, I was like, you know what? I've seen what I needed to see. I'm gonna go, and I'm hungry, and I'm gonna go get some food, and that is exactly what I did. That to me was honestly a highlight. Was picking everything I wanted to do, I got to do. And when you travel in a group, you don't have that luxury because you're there with the group. And if you are just still doing things you want to do and forcing everyone to do what you want to do, you're kind of being a dickhead. Let's just be real. Like, you need to cooperate with your group members. And when I do travel with someone else, I obviously have to take that into consideration. But traveling alone, do whatever you want. It's so great. Another piece of advice I have, then vice versa, is don't plan an itinerary that's too full. If you plan out every single restaurant you want to eat at and you plan out everything you want to see, if your days are jam-packed, things aren't going to work out that way, and you're just going to stress yourself out trying to hit all these places that you have listed. Plan out some days where you're just going to explore. If you have that luxury, just say like, or maybe like you're going to plan out like 2 hours of your day where you have nothing planned. So just see what approaches you, see what excites you. And also feel free to sway from the plan. If you have a museum scheduled, I had a day where I was going to go to the museum in Florence, but then it ended up, because it was supposed to rain that day, but it ended up being sunny, and I was like, change of plans. I want to go to Cinque Terre again because I loved it so much. I loved it more than I thought I would, honestly. I went back and I missed my my reservation at the museum, but I just went the next day because then it was raining, and then I was really happy I didn't waste my day in the museum. So don't be scared to change course, change plans, also to not make plans, and just wander around the streets with your camera, take pictures, take a couple selfies. Also, don't be shy to ask people, as long as it's safe, for someone to take a picture of you. I never did that, and I honestly regret it because any pictures I have of myself are just selfies, and like they look kind of peak if every single picture you have from your trip is a selfie. But I just have so many beautiful landscape pictures, and coming out of that trip, I felt so confident and just so sure of myself, and like my independence and know-how at like an all-time high post-trip. I felt really invigorated to like get back home and like get back into my routine, but I had this creative spark, and I think that that's what solo travel can give. You just feel so confident, and like looking back, like you did that. I know that I didn't have cash when I first got there. That's another thing, is when you go to these places, see if you can get cash ahead of time, especially for taxis. Because I did not have cash. And I then couldn't pay for the taxi, so then I had to like go into my hotel, and then they were able to work with me because their English was good at the hotel, which that seems to be a thing in Italy, at least. Like they most people are really good about trying to accommodate and be helpful if you don't speak the language, which was really, really nice. But also try to speak the language of the places you go to. I think that being uncomfortable is a big part of growth and trying something new. I think that learning to be comfortable being by yourself and speaking a language you don't know how to speak, get comfortable with uncomfortable, as people say, it's so true. And I think that traveling solo, it is scary. I'm not saying it's not scary. Like before I left, I almost canceled my trip because I just got this like really panicky feeling, like I don't speak the language, I don't know where I'm going, I've never even been to Manchester Airport. I like so many new things that I had to traverse that I was really nervous about. But honestly, I'm so glad I did it, and now it's giving me the confidence to do more solo travel that I have planned coming up in the next couple months. Like, save money for it too, because now that trip, it was 4 days, but I now have gone out less clubbing and bars and things to save money to solo travel. Um, even if it doesn't even have to be a big trip on that scale. You don't have to fly somewhere. Let's say you want to solo travel and you get on a train and you want to go to the beach by yourself. Do it. Why not? I think that you can make your own decisions. The the time you'll have by yourself is honestly really freeing. You could talk to and meet new people as well. Like, you don't have to just hang out by yourself. I mean, when you're at a restaurant, talk to the table next to you. Um, and just get also comfortable being by yourself, because to me, I feel like if you aren't comfortable alone, then how will you ever be fully comfortable with other people if you're not comfortable to yourself? You know what I mean? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, you need to be comfortable in your own skin and being comfortable being alone to then be able to fully embrace being with other people and to being able to fully appreciate the presence of people, and like knowing that like you're not sad to leave, like you're not dependent on other people. It's a very like self-sufficient, independent mindset. And I think everyone needs to solo travel. Because I mean, you meet some people that lack the independence and know-how that you do, and you know that if they solo traveled, that they'd probably, be at par with what the expectation is that an adult can do. And I mean, as university students, we are adults, okay? Like, I hate to say it, but we are. We are in that transitional phase, and I think by going on a trip by yourself, whether that is to the beach, whether that's in the same state you're in, whether that's just going to town and getting coffee by yourself, or if it's going to Tokyo, just point is, it'll help you feel more grounded. So another big solo travel tip I had was bring a portable charger, because you never know like when you're gonna have access to an outlet, or what if your phone battery suddenly starts acting up because it's hot outside. Who knows? Bring a portable charger. That is my big piece of advice. I just kept a backpack, and I just kept my phone plugged in like constantly with the portable charger in my backpack, and I would just hold it like the portable charger hanging out. Like, honestly, bring a portable charger. Also, look like you know where you're going even when you don't. Um, Especially as a solo female traveler, when I would have maps up on my phone, don't try and, like, you obviously do look like a tourist, but maybe you're a tourist that has been here before. No one else knows. No one knows if you've never been here before. So look like you know where you are, and don't walk with your phone just in your hand, blatantly staring at it with maps, trying to walk somewhere. Like, someone might try and mug you. Who knows? It's just better to be safe, to look like you know where you're going. So, for example, I was walking down the street and I missed my turn. So I had to go up and around the block. It took me, and it added an extra 5 minutes to my walking trip to have to go around the block again. But it was not a super like safe part of town I was walking in. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm just going to look determined. I look like I know where I'm going. No one's going to stop me. No one's going to ask. Like, just look like you know where you're going. That's another big piece of advice I have. It'll help you look confident and self-assured to other people around you, that no one will think that they can mess with you, you know? My other piece of advice, I feel like this is a common one people get, is to pack light. But I thought I packed light and I could have packed lighter. And I know everyone says this, but honestly, like, see if you can pack a small backpack. Honestly, just bring the bare essentials, like toothbrush and stuff, and then bring like the number of pairs of underwear and socks you need, and like 2 tops. If you think about how often you wear the same clothes when you're at home, why wouldn't you be wearing like the same pair of jeans twice on the trip? You know what I mean? Pack light. You don't need a different pair of pants and a different shirt for every day you're there. You just don't. Especially if you're solo traveling, and you gotta pack light. I mean, it's just you traversing the airports and the streets and the taxis. If you limit the number of bags you have, it's so helpful. Let me see here. Oh yeah, okay, another thing in terms of safety if you make a rough outline of your travel plans to a family member, or like to give it to a friend or something, or someone that you trust, just so that someone is aware of your general location and just knows where you are, I think that that's really important for your safety as well. I know that I made a rough itinerary of knowing which cities I wanted to hit, and then like museums and places in these cities I wanted to hit as well. Just so my parents, even though they were miles and miles and miles away, just so like they would know and have like a bit of a peace of mind to know like what cities I was going to, and then not to like be sadistic, but if something would have happened to me, so that they would know like where was I, or like let's pretend my phone died and they were really really worried, that they could call the hotel, like knowing what hotel I'm at. I mean, like there's things that they can know just to help give everyone peace of mind in the situation, that like I would know if something were to go terribly wrong, that like they know where I am, like they know what country I'm in, they know what hotel I'm staying at. Just some things you can do to help ensure your safety, because safety is the most important thing. But also step out of your comfort zone. Fun story, actually. When I was in Italy, I did get Tinder just so I could see like what does Italian Tinder look like. And ended up matching with someone, and it was like he and his friend met with me, and I felt really safe, like we met in a public place, and he and his friend, like we all just hung out as friends, and we went to this party at the University of Pisa in this big town square, and it was so fun. And this was definitely me stepping out of my comfort zone. I'd never been on a Tinder date in a foreign country, and met with a guy and his friend to go to this party at this university in this foreign country where I don't even speak the language and we can all barely communicate. This was like a me definitely doing something I've never done before, and yes, I was a little nervous, but it was honestly one of the highlights of the whole trip for me. There was live music, and just seeing how a different country parties from your own. It's really fun and cool. But that's another then tip, advice I'll give is when you're solo traveling, 100% watch your drink. There's no one else looking out for you except yourself. You like stare at it or down at the bar. Like you need to really make sure you're safe about it. But then also, to me, personally, I would limit myself to one drink when I'd be out, because you don't want to not be aware of your surroundings. You need to be pretty much sober, honestly, because especially if you don't speak the language, you don't know where you are. It's just safer that way. But that being said, step out of your comfort zone. Honestly, take a risk, take a chance. Who knows who you'll meet and what memories you'll make. I really cannot recommend solo travel enough. I know I've already said that, but genuinely, just like looking back, whenever I feel low or stressed about a project or something, I'm like, Teagan, you went to a foreign country by yourself. You didn't speak the language. You'd never been before. You managed the train systems. You went to all these different places. Like, the confidence I have when I think of that fact that I did do that, it honestly, like, it lifts me up. I feel so elated thinking about it, that I did that, and I'm so happy I spent the money and did that. Um, yeah, cannot recommend it enough. So I'll leave it there. Overall, I say do your research, plan a trip, don't rely too heavily on the itinerary. Take some risks, step out of your comfort zone, bring a portable charger, pack light, watch your drink, and take pictures and have a good time. Yeah, and make sure you have cash. Um, Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And we will be back every Thursday, so next week as per usual. And I will see you all on the next one. Yeah, you can find this anywhere podcasts can be found, that being Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, all the places. And that's it. Bye.